The following is an ESG On Location video.
Welcome to Vegas. It's springtime. To my left here, to your right, are lots of green rectangles, which would suggest very strongly and quite correctly that we're at HPE DIscover. I'm here to find out, to discover, if you like, what is consistent about the company and what's changing about this organization over the last year or so. Talking of change and consistency, I guess what's front and center for many vendor organizations right now is what's behind me. It's hybrid IT. That is really the story. But before I comment a little more about what I see in terms of what's consistent and what's changing, I managed to get some time with Milan Shetti. Now, Milan is the CTO of what's called DCIG, Data Center Infrastructure Group. But I asked him to tell me, if you like, the top 2 or 3 takeaways across the whole company, not just for DCIG.
This was the main stage for launch for Hewlett-Packard Enterprise's flagship product, the server platforms and Gen 10 server launch. And security and malware and firmware related issues are something which people are seeing in the press. And HPE is the first to deliver what we're calling the industry's most secure platform.
You'd put that front and center just because it's what so many people are talking about?
Absolutely, absolutely. It is something which even folks who are not in the data center industry would relate to, the malware and the firmware constantly getting into the press. Yep. They can absolutely relate to the fact that how important it is to have a trusted supply chain, trusted infrastructure, and that was the big premier announcement for us. HPE Point Next Services, this has been also a highlight of this DIscover, as HPE and company has gone through several transformations from the spin mergers of various businesses and concentrating on HPE as the infrastructure provider. Services is a key component to it.
I keep talking about consistency and change. I mean, what's consistent? We're still at an event where you see a world where everything computes, the look and feel, obviously, with the logos and the nature of the company. And of course, those things do change and have changed over time. There was a raft of product introductions, as you would always imagine. Everything from Aruba and OneView to stuff about IoT and, of course, the Gen 10 that Milan already mentioned. What starts to indicate some of the change, at least to me, is the 3 key phrases that were used over and over again. Making hybrid IT simple, the abilities that HPE has at the intelligent edge, and then obviously the introduction, again, as Milan's already mentioned, of Point Next. Huge emphasis on flexible consumption, and talking to a number of customers, that's something that's beginning to get people's attention and interest. Obviously, you've got the acquisitions, you've got SGI, you've got SimpliVity, now you have Nimble. You see new things happening like NewStack, you see security in Gen 10. So all these things both expand capabilities, but also expand not just product capabilities, but capabilities for HPE to start to provide more sophisticated services wrapped around IT. Another interesting example of that expansion of capabilities that I mentioned is just to my left here, the Pathfinder program, where HP is actually investing in a whole bunch of these organizations and ultimately capabilities, again to expand what it's able to offer to its customers. So what do I see? There was a lot of consistency, and that's not a bad thing. But in terms of change, what I really see is not necessarily a change in direction for HPE, but potentially a change in destination. Now, I do think it needs to make that clearer, but what this really means is I see it not wanting to be just a better IT company, but being a different sort of IT company that's far more aligned with business, and I really don't want to say outcomes, I just want to say business, period.